Well, welcome back, everyone, and actually, good evening to a special episode of NFL Fantasy Matchup. As usual, we're usually in the mornings. We're here on Tuesday mornings. We're here on Friday mornings, but these guys were very gracious to accommodate me while I'm traveling this week in Dallas and Austin. So Jed is over in Chicago, and Jimmy is over in Arizona this week.
Well, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
Hey, today we're going to look through week 6. We're going to look at week 7 with all of their buys. We're going to talk a little bit about waiver wires, news and notes, all of that stuff. But before we start, here's one thing, Jed. Just because he is on your dynasty team, Derrick Henry, I had Ryan Tannehill. All I needed was one touchdown and some throwing yards. That's all I wanted to win one of my games. But Derrick Henry with 3 touchdowns.
You know what? I don't think you can blame Derrick Henry. Actually, watching that game, I've been saying that we've been talking about that Tannehill is a viable quarterback.
Yeah.
But man, watching that game, he missed several throws.
Yeah.
I was pretty disappointed with his production. So yeah, I feel bad for you. But man, I don't know if you guys saw the 75-yard touchdown run that Derrick Henry had.
Yeah.
It actually they recorded is the fastest any running back has run this year. He hit 21.6 miles per hour, and that guy is 256 pounds. It's just unbelievable.
No, I was so frustrated because in one of my leagues, I was up ahead by so many points. I didn't even pay attention. I was like, you know what? This is going to be an easy night. And up until that 75-yard run, he actually didn't do anything. But after that, he ended up with 140 yards, 3 touchdowns. And yeah, he that guy is a stud.
You know, they showed the stat. I really like this. They showed his average yards per quarter, and it's just like Michael Jordan's average points per quarter. It's like it gets bigger every single quarter, and that's just amazing to me that he's actually averaging more yards in the fourth quarter than in the first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But seriously, talking about Ryan Tannehill, I dropped Derek Carr to play Ryan Tannehill because Julio Jones and A.J. Brown were back. And I said, oh, and then look, John Gruden was fired, so it's their first game back. So I said, oh, Ryan Tannehill should be a better play this week. Nope, Derek Carr was definitely the better play.
Okay, let me tell you another thing before we get into news and notes. Tommy dropped Jalen Waddle right before the game started.
I saw that.
And he was on a plane. I texted him, and I was like, are you upset that you dropped him? Because he ended up scoring 20-something fantasy this week.
Yeah, it was a good matchup for him, though. We'll have to see. But yeah, there's going to be a lot. We've been talking about it. There's a ton of teams on bye this week. That means the waiver wire is going to get really interesting because people are going to be forced to drop players they don't want to or to leave an open roster spot. So there's going to be some good players available on the waivers.
Well, and the reason being is it goes back to our Walter White league where there's no IR positions and it's a small bench. I needed to play a tight end because I am now in the 8-9 hole and I'm just losing my spot in the playoff time. So I need at least a win to move me up so I can get into the playoffs.
And you won. Didn't you score the ball?
Yeah, he won. Yeah. No, you have to make those kind of calls sometime, and you know this is the weeks to start. It starts getting serious now. If you're in last place, I'm in last place in that league. You have to. This is now you got to make the move. Like any trades or whatever you can been holding off on. This is what you got to do now to start to move.
Well, speaking about that, let's talk a little bit about some of the games, but also news and notes, all of that stuff. The one that I want to talk about is the Cleveland offense. Right, number 1, Baker Mayfield dislocates his shoulder in week 6. Now Odell Beckham has a shoulder injury that he injured in week 6. Kareem Hunt is now expected to miss several weeks. Nick Chubb is also out. Does Dearness Johnson, Jim, become your the number 1 waiver ad this week for you?
I don't know if he's the number 1 waiver ad because I think because there's 6 teams out, for me, there's a couple other players that I much rather get, but they have nobody else. I mean, I think Jarvis Landry, I don't know if he's practicing yet. He might be playing this week. He's not playing.
Jones. You're picking up Peoples Jones.
Yeah, you got Peoples Jones. You might have Dearness, what's his name?
Dearness Johnson.
Yeah. Johnson. You might also have Austin Hooper. You know, like, I mean, there's nobody out there for Cleveland.
Yeah. Jed, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually like him. I think Dearness Johnson is not a bad pickup as long as he really is carrying the load. In Cleveland, we know Cleveland has got a great rushing attack, and so I think that is a very strong pickup. I think it's between Dearness Johnson and Rashard Penny up in Seattle.
Yeah.
Because Alex Collins maybe got. I've had Alex Collins. He had a nice game. I think
Yeah.
120 yards. So if he's out and Rashard Penny is in, that is another good pickup for the weekend. But you're right, Jimmy. I mean, you have to really see there's going to be a lot of people dropping and picking up. So you kind of have to see what's available. I'll also say Khalil Herbert played pretty well for me too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he did.
That was a nice little pickup.
Yeah, but I think Damian Williams is coming back for Chicago this week, right?
Yeah. But the only reason I like Dearness Johnson, look, I mean, if Baker Mayfield doesn't play, even if he does play, they do depend on the running game quite a lot. And so they have a good offensive line. They have a great defense. And so you can't hurt, especially if you suddenly have Dalvin Cook on bye, all of those guys on buys.
Yeah, but here's my thing, and maybe I'm proven wrong. I just remember last year, both both Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb was out as well too, and they put in Dearness Johnson, and he did not do well at all. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to even add him. I much rather trust. I don't know who's out there. I mean, Kenny Galladay is out there, on all these waiver wires waiting for someone to pick up. Zach Ertz is out there waiting for someone to pick up. So for me, I much rather look at some of those guys before I pick up this Cleveland running back.
The one thing I'll say is I was really surprised that the Browns just got steamrolled by the Cardinals. I expected that to be a good matchup, and it was not. The Cardinals, either the Cardinals are really, really good or the Browns are not as good as we thought because, boy, the Cardinals just took
the Cardinals' defense, that's been the surprising thing. Offense, I think they always felt like that they were going to be good, and especially now with Zach Ertz potentially coming in as via trade. But people have been surprised. Like J.J. Watt has been doing pretty well, and they were playing without Chandler Jones, who was out for COVID as well too.
Hey, for all those who are listening in, you have many teams on bye. You have the Steelers at 3-3. That means you lose Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, Chase Claypool. Bills, you lose Allen. Yes, you lose Stephon Diggs. Chargers, Eckler,
Justin Herbert,
Mike Williams.
Man, Jaguars. What happened to the Chargers? The Chargers look terrible. What in the world happened? That was such a shock.
Maybe the Ravens are that good. Who knows?
That's what I think is I've been down on the Ravens all year. You guys know it. And I'm thinking, man, maybe I've been wrong. Maybe what it is about the Ravens is that they don't have to win one certain way. They can win lots of different ways. They can win running, they can win passing, and they can win with their defense. And so maybe that's why I haven't liked them is they kind of morph. But man, the Chargers, that killed me. I started a Herbert and that totally destroyed me.
I was thinking it was going to be Herbert throwing it just to keep up with Lamar Jackson. And so I was thinking him, Eckler, as well as Mike Williams was going to do well. None of them. I mean, I lost because Herbert's my quarterback in so many teams.
Yeah. A couple other teams on bye. Jaguars, you lose Marvin Jones. You lose James Robinson, who has really carried my team in one of my other leagues for the last couple of weeks now. The Vikings, suddenly you lose Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and the Cowboys. I lose Dak Prescott, my starting quarterback in the majority of my leagues, and CeeDee Lamb got a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott has been really, really good the last couple of weeks. So you suddenly lose all of these.
That's a lot of teams that you're losing some really good players who's usually your starters.
Yeah, that's why that's saying this week is going to be really interesting. The waiver wire action is going to be really heavy. One note on Dak Prescott, I don't know if you guys saw that. He actually got hurt on that very last play, that touchdown play. But he's got because of the bye week, he has extra time to heal. But you got to watch that because if he is going to miss any time, obviously that'd be a big deal.
By the way, going back to Dallas, Diggs won my league for me with his interception. That guy's a good player.
That record of he's had an interception every single game. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, 6 straight interceptions, interception every game.
Yeah. Hey, going back to talk about Derrick Henry. All right, let me ask you guys a question. Is Jimmy and I are in it's a 12-team league. The only reason I'm in second place, almost to first place, is I have Dak Prescott and Derrick Henry. If you were to trade Derrick Henry, how many players would you trade him for?
Wow, he's worth at least 2.
Two, right?
Yeah.
Two
At
starters,
least
right?
2 starters.
Yes.
Because his production is insane. I mean, he
Yeah.
scored in some leagues. He scored 30 points.
Like, what would be a Chad? Even as you think, what would be a suitable trade offer for a Derrick Henry? It had to be, let's say, Alvin Kamara, and is it a DJ Metcalf? Is that, would you say that's too much for a Derrick
Well,
Henry?
okay, hey Tom, this is Tommy's team, Jed. Outside of Derrick Henry, I mean, he's got Miko Hardman as a receiver. He's got Khalil Herbert. He's got Zach Moss, Mike Davis, Marlon Mack. You really don't have anybody. I mean, you've got Justin Jefferson on this team as well, too.
Yeah, I'm thinking about trading. I'm really thinking about trading Derrick Henry for about 3 players.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what
to
I'm trying
me, I think you could trade Derrick Henry for a running back who's maybe at the 10 or 11 or 12th ranked position, and then like say a top 10 wide receiver. Like if you put those two together, I think that would be fair. So you get 2 solid starters trading for 1. I think
Like,
that's
would you trade Derrick Henry for Calvin Ridley and
Cordero Patterson.
or Cordell Patterson? Would you trade that?
if I was that team, I would trade for Derrick Henry for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would trade
Because-
for Derrick Henry for that.
Because you got Cordell Patterson for free. You basically
Yeah.
picked him up the waiver wires. So essentially you're trading Calvin Ridley for Derrick Henry, which is a no-brainer.
Mhm. Yeah, I would
It's
do
one
that.
of those things, right? You have Derrick Henry, you're literally almost to first place, and you're sitting there, but then you also realize, man, I could lose this thing pretty fast because I'm depending on one player.
Yeah, if
Yeah, well,
tomorrow,
especially,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that team you have, Tommy, is really not, you don't have depth. So I think trading him for 2 better starters, to spread out that wealth is definitely a smart move.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple of things. Dawson Knox breaks a bone in his hand. It looks like he's probably going to be out in week 7. So if you have him, man, he's been a great player. I actually needed Dawson Knox. He had 7 points, and he ran in for a touchdown, which got called back because of holding by Emmanuel Sanders. Other than that, man, this is going to be a heartbreak because he was doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
But supposedly he's only going to miss the 1 week, and then he's got the bye week. So I think he's going to be okay. And actually, I don't know if you guys heard that Russell Wilson. So he was supposed to be after the first week of surgery, he was supposed to be at 10% flexibility in his finger, but he's already at 70%.
Wow.
And he's already been back to practice. So they're pretty sure he's going to beat the original timetable. So I know I picked him up in one league that somebody dropped him. So I'm like just itching for him to come back.
That's pretty good.
Oh, was that you who picked him up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I picked him up. I was like, that was a mistake to drop Russell Wilson, man.
Who's your other quarterback? Who's your other quarterback in that league?
I think in that league, is it Tannehill? Let me see.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you picked up Russell Wilson, I mean, that's why sometimes actually for some of these leagues, I'll scan the waiver wire because you're sometimes surprised who people drop.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned Dawson Knox. Somebody dropped Dawson Knox.
Yeah. On our keeper league, someone dropped Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
One thing to note for those who are listening, how I'm not sure how you guys do it, to cheat and figure it out, go to percentage start. And so you'll just sit there and click on that. It sorts, and it always gives you the highest players that are dropped.
Well, and see, this is why I like Yahoo. See, Yahoo does that so nicely. In the ESPN thing, it's so hard to figure out. Yahoo does 2 things really, really well. You can click on percent start, and you can also click on number of ads. So ads and drops tells you how basically who's the most popular waiver wire pickup. And so you can learn a lot that way. So yeah, it looks like in the league that I have Joe Burrow as my starter, which is not bad.
He's
but I
actually
picked up
coming on.
Russell.
He's doing pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Jim, Julio Jones leaves the game with the hamstring injury. With all of these guys on bye, is Julio Jones somebody you're dropping and says, man, I give up on him?
You know, I haven't given up on him yet, partly just because historically he's always been so good. And actually, even in the game, he actually helped A.J. Brown become a better player. And he had two receptions for 53 yards. And so I was actually thinking, oh, he's going to do pretty good.
And he had that crazy catch off the helmet, didn't he? There was the helmet catching back.
Whether or not he's going to stay healthy, that's really going to be the biggest issue. But yeah, I hope he does because I feel like it really does help A.J. Brown and it does help Ryan Tannehill as well too.
Yeah. Another thing is Jen, Michael Thomas is coming back here in a couple of weeks. He's slated to be off of PUP this week, but it looks like it'll be a couple of weeks before he comes back.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anyone was waiting, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, unfortunately. So it looks like another couple weeks. But at this point, if you've already waited 6 weeks, what's another couple more?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go through a couple of games. Now I want to go through waiver ads and some week 7 games before we wrap up here as well too. Hey, Cincinnati Bengals 34, Detroit Lions 11. Though Joe Burrow, I mean, Jed, is he an every week starter now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, I've got him in one league. Russell Wilson, if he comes back, I might consider him over him. But Burrow has been playing really well. I mean, and he's got a nice rapport with Jamar Chase. They came out and took care of business against Detroit, and I think that's what the good teams do. So if you've got Burrow, I think he's top 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim, Kansas City Chiefs 31-13. The one that I want to look at is the Washington football team. We always thought it was Antonio Gibson. We thought it was Tarek McLaurin, but really it has been Jason McKissick for 8 carries, 45 yards, receiving another 8 receptions, 65 yards, and he had the touchdown as well too. I mean, he has been doing he does not have a touchdown. He totaled 110 yards with Antonio Gibson in and out of the game with the shin injury.
Yeah.
Is he somebody you're hoping to start this week?
Well, here's the thing. You asked me earlier who would be my top waiver wire pickup, and quite honestly, it's not Dearness Johnson. For me, it's J.D. McKissick. He's still out there in a number of leagues. If this is a big if Gibson is forced to take some time off, or because he's injured, McKissick is a person you want to go after, and he's proven it in the last few games. He's done extremely well. He can catch the ball. He can run out of the backfield. And without Gibson there, he'll be the one that gets the goal line carries as well too.
Yeah, my only caution there is Washington.
Their defense stinks though.
Yeah, they're just not as good as we were all. So that's the only disappointment there. But yeah, J.D. McKissick has been.
You would think that with Ron Rivera as the coach of the Redskins or the Washington team, that they would be better at defense, and with all the studs that they got, but they just haven't fulfilled the potential and even like all the money that they spent in the offseason.
Well, look at Chase Young. He was a huge distract. I mean, he just disrupted everything, and you haven't really heard from him very much this year at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jen, let me ask you a quick question. If you hear of a quarterback who has, in the last 3 weeks, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, is he someone that you would want to start?
That sounds like maybe is that what's his name in Minnesota?
No, more so. What's his name in Indianapolis? Mr. Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz. Yeah, I mean Wentz. He has the talent. That's the thing. And T.Y. Hilton's coming back, and Michael Pittman. That's a pretty good receiving core you've got there. And I mean, yeah, I don't think that's a bad move at all, especially on this weekend. Like picking up Carson Wentz is not a bad move.
You know what? It's going. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Here is your problem with T.Y. Hilton. 4 catches, 80 yards. Went out with a quad injury.
Yeah. But have you guys noticed, though, that Carson Wentz has done a lot better since Jonathan Taylor has come back on the last few weeks? I think if Jonathan Taylor can continue doing what he's been doing, it relieves the pressure off of the receivers and the quarterback. And you've noticed Carson Wentz plays so much better when that happens.
Yeah. In the last couple of weeks, last week he ran for 145 yards. Week before he had 53 yards, but he did catch a bunch of balls and 103 yards. Jonathan Taylor has been doing pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Arizona Cardinals. And with the Cardinals here, look, Kyler Murray did not do, I mean, he did okay. He threw for 4 touchdowns, right? Yeah. James Conner continues to do really, really well. Jed, I know you like him. 16 carries, 71 yards compared to Edmonds at 4 rushes at 46 yards. And also A.J. Green, 5 catches, 79 yards, 1 touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, even though he had 2 touchdowns, he only caught for 55 yards.
Yeah, it was a nice bounce back for Hopkins. I think Hopkins has not produced. He's supposed to be top 5 wide receiver. He has not been. So it was nice that, you're starting to see some. So remember, there is one, some of these top players, you have to remember this idea of regression to the mean, right? So if you know their average production and they've been producing below what you normally expect, you can expect a bounce back for certain of these players. And I think Hopkins is in that category. The problem with Arizona is kind of like some of these other prolific, like the Chiefs have been in the past, which is that the offense is awesome. It's just you never know who's going to hit as far as the wide receivers. AJ Green, I've dropped and picked him up twice this year. Wanted to play him, and then he wasn't good because he's not consistent. And so I think the bottom line is on the Cardinals, other than Kyler Murray, I actually think Connor is the main guy that you want, because even if it's not the rushing yards, it's the touchdowns, the goal line carries that pushes him over. So I like Connor a lot. I don't have him in any of my teams, but I like him a lot.
Look, Jed, if you notice that Jimmy is very distracted right now, it's because he was sitting there accepting my trade. So I traded him Christian McCaffrey, Chase Edmonds, and I got back Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Gibson.
Christian McCaffrey and who?
Christian and Chase Edmonds for Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Gibson.
Oh man, yeah. McCaffrey is worth, I don't know, he's worth a lot.
Well, okay, so that's why I was distracted, because I was sitting here, I saw the trade come through, and I was like, this is a dynasty league. If it was not a dynasty league, I would not do it. But the fact that I could get Christian McCaffrey from a dynasty perspective, and I give up a Gibson and an Aaron Rodgers, and I already have Justin Herbert, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Although I think next season you'll see McCaffrey is not going to be top 5 drafted because the injury risk is just too high now. He'll be in the back half of the top 10.
Except here's the thing is when I accepted it, Tom, I was like, crap. Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback this week. Now I can go find a backup.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I love Christian McCaffrey. I think he's so good. But it's the last 2 years, it's the injury history. And it just affects me all the time because he always will have a soft tissue injury, shoulder injury. And so it affects all my lineup as well, too. I still have high hopes for Antonio Gibson. Without the shin injury, I think he would be very good. So I think he's that next. Give him a couple times. I think he'll become a superstar.
I mean, I think these are the trades that you're going to have to make, especially as we're hitting week 6 and week 7, because you're thinking both long-term and short-term, right? I'm thinking in this particular league, I already have Justin Herbert. If I can get rid of Aaron Rodgers and I can get back a good player that I can keep for next year, I'm all for it. And I think people are going to have to figure out how to make some of these trades right now.
Oh yeah, I see your guys' trade. Yeah, that's in our keeper league. So that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Let me go through, let's go through some of the week 7 games for us to watch as well too. Which one should we go into? Let's go to Chiefs versus Titans. There is Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams rushed 21 times and he had a couple of touchdowns. He sure looked good in that particular game there.
Yeah, that was a nice game for him, and actually a nice bounce back. It was interesting to see that he was able to pick that up 2 touchdowns, not just the one. So nice bounce back for him. And good for you if you waited. You had to be patient with him, but that was a nice payback.
Some people are saying that if he keeps on doing well, Hilaire might be in jeopardy of losing his starting job. Do you think that's true or not?
I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, though, as I've said all year, this is one game that you got good production out of the running back position on the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't know. I'm just concerned that they're not committed to the running game, and so that's why I don't like following that position.
Yeah. The only thing is, Darrell Williams has shown that he's a 3-down back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you could probably play him for 2 downs. And so, hey, look, it shows the trust that he's gained the looks inside the red zone. So it looks pretty good. Bengals, Ravens. Jamar Chase continues to do really, really well under Burrow. He does very, very well. But with the Ravens, Marquise Brown, touchdown in 4 of his 5 games this past year.
Mark Andrews has been doing really well for them. Lamar Jackson has been scoring tons of points. The only issue I would say with the Ravens, you don't know who their running back is.
Yeah, well, they all scored last week.
Mhm.
Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, and Latavius Murray
Yes.
all got a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that
Yes.
was insane.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
That was an
Agreed.
interesting game, though. The Ravens are 6-point favorites. I was looking at that over the Bengals. That feels high to me.
Mhm.
It's an interdivisional game.
Yeah.
I expect Bengals to play well. I don't know that they'll win, but I expect them to play it closer than 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Mixon has turned out to be a pretty decent fantasy player for the Bengals.
Yeah, his durability.
Yeah.
Yeah, his durability has been really impressive. I think we talked about him at the beginning of the year. I did not think he'd be able to stay healthy, but he's looked good.
Mhm.
Yes. I am very surprised by Joe Mixon because remember last year he was gone for about 10 games and he was just a disappointment after a disappointment. But this year he has run really, really well.
Mhm.
Hey, Raiders against Eagles. Raiders 4-2 against Eagles 2-4. Was it Jim? Was the Raiders more of a fluke, or this was really who the Raiders are? Derek Carr did well. Henry Ruggs did well. Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Hey, look, even what's his face? Kenyon Drake did really well.
I will say so. Okay, so I was listening to some of the commentary on ESPN the other day, and what they were saying is they said John Gruden has always been an old school football coach, right? Like there's certain ways that he likes to play, there's certain players that he likes to play, and now that he's gone, they feel like Derek Carr is going to be able to have the freedom to call some plays and target certain players and throw the ball downfield. They actually think that Henry Ruggs will become a better player because of this, as well as also Josh Jacobs. And so, actually, I would not be surprised if tomorrow, like I'm looking at Henry Ruggs actually might be a decent pickup for some people, especially as you're looking at the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a impressive win for the Raiders, and it tells you that, yeah, that there were issues with Gruden. So with him being out, now the
Mhm.
players are playing free, and so it's a good sign for them. So I agree. I think you could start to potentially pick up some of the skill players there.
Yeah.
Bears
You know who
3.
might be you know who might be the next person out in the Raiders? They're saying that Mike Mayock, the former NFL insider for the NFL Network, might be the next person out. He's the general manager.
Interesting.
Oh, well, just because John Gruden was the one who hired him and
Oh,
brought
yeah,
in Mike
yeah.
Mayock.
Mhm.
Bears 3-3 against the Buccaneers 5-1. Besides Khalil Herbert, are you starting any other Bear during this week?
This is a game. So the Bucks are 12.5-point favorites in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, the Bear, but I'm taking the Bears on this, man. 12.5 points, no way. I think Justin Fields is getting better and better. I still am impressed with him. When I see him
Mhm.
throw, the guy can throw the ball. I think Mooney, I would take a shot on Mooney this game. They're going to be behind. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And he's got an obvious rapport with Fields. I'd take a flyer on Mooney.
Yeah. Jim, any other Bear you like? Allen Robinson?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm just thinking about. I like Khalil. I mean, you also have to think that Damian Williams is coming back. So how is that going to affect Khalil Herbert? But I think one of the two running backs is going to be pretty good. I don't know, Jed. I disagree with you. I think they're going to get slaughtered by the Bucks. I mean, Tom Brady's on one of his years where he just wants to like destroy each of these teams, and I would not be surprised if he scores another 3 or 4 touchdowns for the week.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, the Bucks have looked unstoppable. There are some huge lines. So that one is a 12.5-point game. The other one is the Cardinals are
Mhm.
17.5-point favorites over the Texans. So these are
Yeah,
just
yeah.
huge lines. You don't see this normally coming out of Vegas. I mean, those are some big spreads.
I mean, the
Now,
thing about go ahead, Tom.
now, wouldn't you go with the Texans? No, I don't think there's no way they could beat by 17. I would go
No.
with the Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why to me, this is a professional league. This isn't college. These are still professionals. And yeah, exactly. It'd be hard not to take the underdog there.
I mean, even with Arizona, right? I think they're a really good team. I think they're going to play, but they're 6-0. Here in Arizona, the reports are are they really as good as people think they are? And quite honestly, people I think are good, but they're not fully convinced yet. And so I can see them losing or barely escaping a team like Houston on their way to 7-0 because they might be. I don't. Yeah, I just think they're ready for a downfall at some point. So
Yeah.
and
Couple
we're
more
not really
games.
even sure about the health of Kyler Murray either.
Yeah, couple more games here. Colts 2-4 against the 49ers, 2-3 as well too. Hey, who are you guys starting? If you guys were running back desperate, is it Elijah Mitchell or Trey Sermon? Jim?
Long term, actually, that's a pretty good question.
This week, not long term.
This week. Okay, this week I would pick Elijah Mitchell. Yeah,
I think isn't Sermon like kind of banged up?
Sermon. I know. Yeah, unless Mitchell is out, I'm not going to pick up. I'm not going to play Sermon. I'm going to go with Mitchell. Now, long term, I do think that Sermon still has quite a bit of potential.
Agree.
Got it. Last one, Saints against Seahawks. That's the Monday night game. Alvin Kamara, we understand. Marquez Callaway might be out there, so just take a look on your waiver wire. Alex Collins averaged 19 touches and 85 yards in the last 2 weeks. It looks like he may be injured, but Rashad Penny is coming off of IR. And as Jed said, Jed, is he your number one pickup of this week?
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's not Dearness Johnson, I like Rashard Penny as a pickup. I'll just say I picked Seattle to beat Pittsburgh last week. They should have won the game, if not for the fumble that DK Metcalf had. And if you did still pick them, you still came out okay because they beat the spread. The spread was 4.5. I'm going to say the same thing this week. I think that Seattle can win this game, even though they're starting Geno Smith and he didn't look great. I still think they can beat the Saints. I think their running game has looked really good.
Yeah.
So I still like Seattle.
But their defense is suspect, right? So for Jameis Winston, if he's on and Callaway is on and Kamara is on, I can see them having a pretty good week against the secondary, which is relatively weak for Seattle.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I mean, they definitely could. We'll just have to see. I was surprised, actually. I expected Geno Smith to play better, but he did not look that great. And it wasn't until the second half that they really committed to the run game. Then Seattle started to look good. So hopefully
there was a couple of times where he fumbled the ball because they kept knocking the ball out of his hands.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, out of all the waiver wires, who's the one that you're looking at? Is it the Dearness Johnson? Is it Donovan Peoples-Jones? Is it Zach Ertz? Is it Ramondre Stevenson? Who's the ones that you're looking at?
I think this week is a little bit more unique than other weeks, partly because there's 6 teams that are not playing, right? So in any week, I would say go for the Ramondre Stevenson, go for the Peoples-Jones. But for me this week, it's really going after the quarterbacks. Like I think a lot of us have quarterbacks that are not playing, and so the question I have to decide is: do I go after a Matt Ryan or a Jameis
Winston?
Right. So that's the first thing I'm looking at. The second thing I'm also looking at is McKissick is out there. If Gibson is not playing, for me, he's one of your top waiver ads because he's going to be the starter. And he's going to get you both yardage as well as also potential touchdown points as well too.
Let me sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, let me throw this out there too. Of all the weeks, this might be a week that you consider waiting and you don't play off of the initial waiver and you wait to see who else gets dropped.
Yeah.
Because come what is it, Wednesday morning, come tomorrow morning, right? No, it processes Thursday morning, right?
No, it processes tonight.
Yeah, it processes tonight. Yeah. So come tomorrow, if you didn't waste your waiver spot, you may be first in line to get, whoever's I guess you just got to get up early and see who's on the free agent list because there might be a lot of players, pretty good players who got dropped.
Yeah, six teams is a lot, and most of these 6 teams, right, have some really good players that are your starters. And that's actually a really good point because people are going to have to drop some pretty good players just to replace some of these guys.
Or if you're one of the lucky ones who this week you don't have any players on bye week, I would consider using one of your bench spots to pick up some of these guys that are going to be on bye that their teams didn't want to drop, and you can get a hold of someone good.
Yeah. Hey, one thing, if Rashad Bateman, rookie over at Baltimore, made his NFL regular season debut, so watch him as a rookie to watch. He makes his first. He was highly touted coming out of the draft, and let's see how well he does as well too. Yeah. Couple of things off the NBA season starts. We actually do our draft on Sunday night. We're a little bit late as individuals. Was the league starting number two, Bitcoin. Why is it so high these days? Any of you guys have thoughts on that?
Well, because there was an ETF, the Bitcoin ETF
Yeah.
got approved today. It had did you see the number of trades? It was
No.
like a huge volume of trades. So definitely there is pent up demand for ETFs. And that's not even a true ETF. It's based off of futures. So wait until
Mhm.
there's a true ETF. Basically, if you've got Bitcoin or Ethereum, you may want to consider selling a portion just to take some profits right now. But
Mhm.
boy, it is a good sign that it's at
Yeah.
60,000 and Ethereum is at almost 4. I mean, it's looking really strong.
Some people think that it might hit $100,000 by the end of the year, which is only in like a couple months. And actually, that's not really crazy to think that it might hit $100,000.
Oh, because Bitcoin has increased by 20,000 even in the last
Mhm.
couple months.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I am so high. I am on all of the cryptocurrencies. I've been trying to like move. I'm basically trying to. That's why I'm waiting for a true ETF. Like I don't like the futures ETF, but once
Mhm.
there's a true ETF, then I can pour my 401k money. If I can get access to that money, then I'll
Mhm.
definitely put a much bigger bet on crypto.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah.
Another person in the news today, former Secretary of State Colin Powell passed away. I think all of us, regardless of your political leaning or anything like that, there is a great respect for former Secretary of State Colin Powell. Jim, I know you worked in the White House. Is there a memory that you have of Colin Powell as you worked in the White House?
I just remember I wish that he ran for president. I forgot which year it was, right? And I don't know if it was. Yeah, I forgot. It was the Obama year, and a lot of Republicans, instead of John McCain, they wanted Colin Powell to run for president. And I actually think if Colin Powell ran for president, he would have had a pretty decent chance against Barack Obama that year.
Yeah, I agree. I would say for me, and again, it's so sad to me, the Black community's hesitancy with the vaccine. And I think it's a major problem. And to see this, to me, is the biggest person of stature to die,
Mhm.
from COVID. And I don't know if you guys saw on in the game tonight, the NBA game, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet, they all came out basically talking about Kyrie Irving, basically saying, look, we all got the vaccine. And I wish that they would all stand up for their community and say, hey, Black community, we're like major figures in our community and we all got vaccinated, because it's really sad the low rates of vaccination in that community. And so I hope that this can kind of spur people on.
Mhm.
I think it was a breakthrough case for Colin Powell. So I know that's kind of complicates the picture, but that's to me, it's just really sad.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And we only have one episode this week. And I'm traveling. I'm back next week. And thank you very much. Any lasting thoughts for both of you guys?
No, a couple more hours until the waiver wires process. I will be up. I set my alarm clock for 1:00 in the morning. I am the first one up picking out these players.
Yeah, it's the halfway mark, I would say, because we're a little bit past the halfway mark. So, yeah, you got to make your moves. So good luck to everyone. I'm in last place in one of our leagues, so I'm hoping I can turn that around.
You got to make some big trades, Judd. That's what you need to do. You need to blow up that team and make some major.
Yeah. Hey, make me some offers. I'm available.
See you later, everyone.